Hey there YouTube, Mr.Lubufu. Continuing on with my Magic Origins complete set review. Again, the focus is on limited, so draft and sealed to help you guys rock pre-release weekend. This time we're going to cover all of the green cards in the set, starting with Aerial Volley. I don't like it. Next, Animist's Awakening. It's okay. It certainly ramps you a lot. The problem is like you're putting a whole bunch of spells on the bottom, which can be problematic in a limited game. Caustic Caterpillar is not particularly what I want out of 1 mana 1/1. It's kind of like a bad naturalize, but if it might see some sideboard play because of it. Conclave Naturalist, so it's pretty big. It's a 5 mana 4/4, so you know, a reasonable sized body in this format. That may destroy an artifact or enchantment. So I think it's somewhat, or like it's playable, maybe even main deckable. Probably more likely main deckable and sealed because there'll be a lot of enchantments running around. Dwynen Gilt Leaf Dayan. So it's a 4 mana 3/4, so it's a fine body with reach. Great. Elves you control get +1/+1, or other elves +1/+1. Great. And when it attacks, gain 1 life. Very powerful card. If it's in draft, build around it. But it's certainly a card I would play in a lot of decks, even just in a base green deck with no other elves. Dwyen's Elite is definitely a card that if you're drafting the elf deck, is what you're looking for, because it just makes more elves. It's a bear with upside, so if you have enough elves to make it work, probably like 5 or 6, it's very, very powerful. Elemental Bond is a very interesting card for limited. I like these sort of effects, to be completely honest, but I like them more like I believe it was Garrick's Pride something like Garrick's. There was a 4/4 that had this sort of ability on it, and it could be okay. I'm not sure how this card will play out. It's certainly build around. But generally a 3 mana enchantment that doesn't do much when it first comes into play is something that's underwhelming at best in limited. Elvish Visionary is fine. Comes into play, draws a card, better in the elf deck. Evolutionary Leap is probably not what you want for limited. The art is fantastic. But you probably don't want this in limited. Guy's Revenge is really good. Got downgraded from Mythic, which is nice, but it's a very powerful creature for 7 mana. You just play and go smash face. It's great. Gather the Pack is not particularly what you want. It's playable, sure, but it's not the best. Herald of the Pantheon's a bear with upside, but there are not a lot of good enchantments in this format. This will probably see more constructed play, but it's fine in limit. It's just a bear. Hitchclaw Recluse, so it's a 3 mana 1/4, so it's a horned turtle with reach, which is typically okay. There's very few 4-power flyers in this format, so this can block most of the creatures. Honored Hierarch, so it's a 1 mana 1/1 with possible upside. I think it's gonna be okay in this limited format because there are very few 1-drops. It gets much worse if you're on the draw, but it's playable. This card is basically overrun. It's absurd. This will end most games. If you have just 2 or 3 creatures, it's just going to be smash their face, and they're going to be like, oh, so good. Leaf Gliders, completely playable and limited. It's a 2 mana 2/1. Great. Taps for mana. Double check. Great green common. Definitely something you want to pick up a bunch of. Llanowar Empath was great the first time around, if I recall correctly. It's a 4 mana 2/2 that draws you a card. And you get to scry, but you scry to put a creature and then draw it, basically. Which, if you're a green deck, you have a bunch of creatures, so this card is just fine. You don't want to play too many, but it's fine. Also, it's an elf. Mana Gorger Hydra is just an absurd rare. Like, you play it and they immediately have to answer it, or it just gets out of hand. So, cool. I don't like Mantle of Webs. Might of the Masses is one of those cards that was fantastic in Rise of the Eldrazi Limited. There's fewer token strategies in this format, but it's pretty good with the elves, because elves like to swarm the board with a bunch of smaller creatures. So I foresee this being a decent, like, it's like Giant Growth, which is fine in a lot of situations. Nis is a bomb. Do I have to say any more? Like, all the planeswalkers are great. Nissa's Pilgrimage. It's like Kodama's Reach. And Kodama's Reach was great. So, best mana fixing you can have in this set. Oh, wait, no, it's only Forest. Reading. Reading is tech. So, okay, it's better in heavy green decks. Nissa's Revelation. Scry 5, real top card for its creature. That's very expensive for 7 mana. I love the art. I don't think this is quite good enough. It's like a Sphinx's Revelation, which can be okay. Drawing cards and gaining life, so I'm not gonna. This card's hard to judge. Orchard Spirit was pretty good in a green aggro deck. It was good in Innistrad, so I'd probably play this card. Outland Colossus is just an absolute bomb. It's so good. 5 mana 6/6, very strong. Renown 6, even better. Can't be blocked by more than one creature. Like, they're gonna chump block this all day, every day. Farika's Disciple is quite good. 4 mana 2/3 Death Touch is kind of small for the format, but it has Death Touch, and if it ever becomes a 3/4, like, it's a fantastic blocker. Don't play Reclaim. It's not good. Rocks Maulers is another pretty powerful card. 5 mana 4/4 Trample is fine, but if it ever connects, like, and because of Trample, it'll connect more often. Becoming a 6/6 Trample for 5 is pretty good. Sky Snare Spider, another very, I mean, it's huge, but it's very good. It's a 6 mana 6/6 Vigilance with Reach. Great. Summerwater Alpha is, it's a pretty good one. And again, if a creature you control gets blocked, it's +1/+1, so makes blocking harder, which is exactly what you want for a green deck that's beating down. And you can give creatures Trample, which is also pretty good. I foresee this card being very powerful. Sylvan Messenger, you only really want to play in the elf deck, because otherwise, it's just a 4 mana 2/2. You want a 4 mana 2/2 that at least draws you a card. So you need to have enough elves to make that work. Don't play this card in limited. Timberpack Wolf, I love in limited. You really don't want other people to take it, because if you get 2 or 3, like, you want 3 or 4 of them, and it's just like, blah, look at my 3/3s and 4/4s. It's absurd. But people very aggressive. I think this is the best of the cycle, and rightfully so. Titanic Growth is fine. It's a pump spell. Great. Undercity Trolls, very good. Very, 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 very good. You play it on turn 2, you untap, play a land, and attack, and then there are very few good blocks, so then it becomes a 3/3, and then it's so good. The Wardens isn't, I mean, it's okay. It's a 3 mana 1/3, so it has trouble getting renowned, but if you're able to connect with it, becoming a 3 mana 3/5 is very good. Basswood Gorger, it's fine for top of the curve, but there's just a lot of better, bigger creatures at the mana cost. Vine Snare, don't play it. It's a bad fog. Hey, look, it's Hunt the Week. Yay, Hunt the Week. This card's one of the best green commons in the set, I think. Very, 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 very powerful. Just, I would play this card a bunch. Yeah, it doesn't put a counter, but it's still insane. Bomb Mythic is Woodland Bellower. It's Sun Titan, which is great. It's also a 6 mana 6/5, so this card's really, really, really good. I would play it in every single green deck I get. Yeva's Force Mage. I liked it when it came out before. I think this is just a completely fine creature. It does a lot of work, so definitely completely playable. And Zendikar's Royal was... This is an interesting one. Like, if you cast it on turn 5, it doesn't do anything. You cast it on turn 6, and you're like, boom, hit a land, get a 2/2. It can be pretty powerful. Like, it is a very good late game win condition. So in sealed, I foresee this being better than in draft. But this card can get out of hand if you have the lands for it. So maybe you can pull it off. Anyway, that's it for green. Be sure to check out the other episodes as I cover the rest of the set, and I'll see you guys next time.